Hello, I am Loren M. Hill, your academic career coach, and I am so happy today. I know you guys are always like, you're always so happy, Loren, but generally speaking, I am. But man, let me tell you, today you all are going to be in for a great treat. We have Dr. Sheena Howard with us, who I have known for some time now, and we share similar interests and passions around helping academicians really amplify their voices and amplifying their voices through a number of channels. And she has really mastered the art of this. So, welcome, Dr. Howard.
Thank you so much, and thank you for always supporting me and being a part of the journey as well.
Oh, it is my pleasure. I mean, you are such a bright light, and you are also such an inspiration because your area of research is, it's a little different and it's fun, exciting, and we're going to get to that in a second. But again, I want you all to really listen to what Dr. Howard has for us today, because in many ways, I would very much call her a trailblazer, very much. She is in spaces and places that we typically are not, in terms of academia. And that can, some of us can go into those areas and we can be sort of overshadowed, overwhelmed, deflated, because it's like, well, why do I have to keep trying this? Nobody's paying attention. And she has done it and done it well. And I'm sure she would attest to it not being easy. But I always, tell particularly my graduate students, that being in the area of higher ed is really about persistence, right? So, yeah, there may be some people in there that are smarter than you, more well connected to you, may have a lot of points and areas that you don't. But if you can persist, that will get you very, very far. And there's a lot of ways that you can persist with support, right? Strategies and support will get you to your goal. So let's bring on some of these tips from Dr. Howard. So let me start by having you tell us what your area of research is, because this is very fascinating.
Yeah, so my area of research is Black comics, like superheroes and comic strips, and just being a cultural critic and documentarian of Black comics. Yeah.
So some of you, out there are like, wait, what? What did she just say? Is that a thing? And let me tell you, it is a thing. And some events have happened probably maybe in the past 15 years or so, and Dr. Howard can give us more context around why this has become so popular and so timely. But this is not something that is new. It didn't just start. But being able to trace the thread and the history behind not just comics, right? Comic books, like we all know some of the, the Batman, Superman, although all that Marvel, DC, blah blah blah. But Black comic books, oh my goodness, that gives me joy. Talk to us about that, Dr. Howard.
Yes, this is very true. So when I did my dissertation at Howard University, I was just very young, and that ended up working to my benefit because I didn't know the lines that I was supposed to color in for
Mm.
my dissertation topic. So first semester there, they're like, you need to know what you're going to do your dissertation on. And
Right.
I had no idea. And I'm like, the only way that I'm going to get through writing this 260-page book is to do it on something that I'm interested in. And I just happened to be reading the Boondocks comic strip at
Mhm.
that time, which the Boondocks became an animated television series, which was just that trajectory is groundbreaking in and of itself.
Right.
And so people, you people were not excited about a dissertation on comics. Some people thought it wasn't academic enough. Some
Mhm.
people questioned to my face, why, someone said to me, like, my existence in the program devalued her education, like devalued her degree. Is
Mm.
all types of things. But that's what I did, and I did it when not that many people were doing it. And I just, like you said, persisted, and eventually the culture caught up, and by the time the culture caught up, I was already ahead of the game.
So this is why I have no qualms about using the word trailblazer, right? Being in places like the academy and being innovative is really, in its essence, what should occur, right? I know that we definitely have our canons and we have our theories and we have, but some of that stuff is so dry and stale. And I am happy when someone comes along and kind of mixes it up a bit, right? Because for me, when I'm chairing dissertations or advising, and someone comes with something a little bit to the left, then I too get to learn along with them and support them in this area. So, the stuff that is tried and true was at some time new,
Mm.
right? So time may or may not catch up with what you're doing, but creating new, bringing new thought to to the world, if you will, not just the academy, I think is very important. And when it's something as fun as your topic, I'm like, sign me up, sis. So come on, tell us some more. What happened next?
Yeah, so when I started my PhD program, a professor said that your dissertation and your research articles are supposed to create new knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And when the professor said that, that was intimidating to me, because I'm like, how can you create new knowledge? Everything is already out here. But I took that charge seriously. And the way that it was explained to me, it was like, you can study something old in a new way or study something new in an old way. And
Right.
I thought that's what I was doing with my dissertation, even though, some people raised some eyebrows, but my committee was obviously supportive enough to hear me out, to let me do my study, and, to support me in my dissertation defense. And
Mm.
so when I was doing that research on the Boondocks comic strip, one of the things that I struggled with in doing the study was just getting a timeline, a historical timeline of the contributions of Black people in comics. Because
Mm-hmm.
I'm at Howard University, I'm in the basement at the library. I'm thinking I'm just going to find a book that is literally called The History of Black Comics. And
Mm-hmm.
I searched everywhere for this book. I'm like, if the book is not here at Howard University, it doesn't exist. And
Right.
so I already knew, when I finished my dissertation defense, I already knew what my first book was going to be about. I was like,
All
not,
right.
not for money, not for fame. I was just like, this is a
Yeah.
tragedy that there's no one book for someone to go to just see the notable timeline and history of Black people in comics. And so that was my first book. And that book ended up winning an Eisner Award at San Diego Comic-Con. And I became the first Black woman to ever win an Eisner Award at San Diego Comic-Con.
Okay. I'm gonna need you to say that again and say it slow because I know you and I know you talk real fast. But slow that down again. You were the first Black woman to win an Eisner Award at Comic-Con in
Yes.
San Diego. So I
Yes.
said it, but I need you to say it.
Yes, I am the first Black woman to win an Eisner Award, which is considered the Oscars of comics. So in my field, there is no honor or award higher than that. And that happened in 2014 for the book Black Comics, Politics of Race and Representation, which I published in 2013.
Yes, I'm so for it and so proud of you. It's so funny because somebody sent me your TikTok of
Oh, wow.
talking about it, and that it didn't happen overnight, but it really
Yes.
was about persistence. And somebody sent me, and they were like, oh my God. I was like, oh, girl, I know her. I was like, I know her, know her. And so I was like, and I have been proud of her from the day we first met.
Yes, so true.
Congratulations on that.
Yeah,
I just
thank
love that. And I also love that people have some ideas about Comic-Con, and it's like, oh, it's nerdy and it's
you.
this and that. But secretly, I think a lot of us are like, I wish I could go there. And so there was one year, it was here in LA, and
Okay.
I had some students who were going, and I didn't know they were going, but they came to class dressed. And I was like, what are y'all doing? And they were like, oh, Dr. Hill. I was like, oh, yeah, I forgot. Sorry, it's Comic-Con. Go ahead. In fact, you guys can get out of class a little early, and make sure you come back and tell me exactly what happened, because I can't go. So I think it's so fun. And I really, you all might be like, oh my God, why is she so like extra bubbly today? And you all know that I don't just talk about, the hard sciences, or, everything's not always cut and dry strategy. I try to bring in guests and, insights from light-hearted stuff. And I don't mean to minimize, Dr. Howard's area. What I'm saying and what she has said is that this is something that she enjoys. And because she enjoys it, and because it resonated with her, she was able to take a lot of these things to the next level. And
Mhm.
sometimes our areas, we go into these areas because our mentor or our advisor, like, that's their stuff. And we of course we have to get through our programs. So we need, a lab or something to connect with. But if you can make it a little bit fun or a lot of it fun, it will definitely sustain you,
Yes.
post your graduation, well into your career, and you can make a name for yourself as she has done. And so I just want you all to know that I can get excited, just as excited about the periodic table as I can about some comics. I just excited when we are doing it, right? And so, come on, tell us some more about the next step. So you got your book out, you were making a name for yourself, and I know that you saw some things along the way, and you promoted within your academic ranks. And then, because of your journey, you noticed that there's was some strategies that you could take to be recognized
Mhm.
outside of higher ed. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that led to your power of your research. Do I have that correct?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. So, I had started publishing research articles in graduate school, like most people getting a PhD. And one of my first article publications was actually a chapter on President Barack Obama, and looking at the way he changed up his language dynamics depending
Mm.
on the audience that he was talking to. And that article got like mentioned in a news outlet. It was like USA World News or something like that. Can't remember the exact outlet. So ever since the beginning of doing my PhD, I always knew for me that I would not be happy with my work just in an academic library or behind a paywall. That was not it for me. I was like, I was like, I need the people that I'm researching and writing about to benefit from the work that I'm doing, not just other academics. And because of that, I've tried to get all of my work outside of academia in the media. My whole thing was just media coverage, media coverage, media coverage. So I've been on like every media outlet using my own strategies, no PR agency. And that was important to me. I actually jumped onto the social media part of it very, very, very late. But yeah, so that was for like 10 years, like media coverage and visibility. I found joy in convincing producers and journalists to feature me when they had no idea who I was. Like that was fun to me. But I also have an undergraduate degree in marketing. So fast forward a little bit, even throughout getting my tenure, you know, I made a lot of people around me uncomfortable in higher ed because of the rapid rate in which I would publish stuff. Like I would publish 2 books in 1 year on my tenure track. But that is because I loved what I was doing. Like I would have been doing it even if I wasn't on a tenure track. See, that's the difference, right? And I was making sure that my stuff could talk to people outside of academia, because that I found joy in that. And so I noticed that I could not talk to other academics about the fact that I wanted to be on NPR. I wanted to do a TEDx talk. I wanted to be on these major news outlets. Like I literally heard someone say one time, if you are always on television, that means you are not doing real research. And I wholeheartedly reject that, because you can walk and chew gum, I'm pretty sure, last time I checked, right? And so that was my thing. And so I built my brand, got a big platform, was the right choice for me. I'm living the best life I could ever be living right now. And now 4 years ago when I first met you, that was the beginning of me saying, okay, how can I put this into a program that will help other academics increase their visibility, authority, and income without spending money on a publicist that's going to cost you like $3,000 a month, and kind of build this platform and get free. The end goal of what I teach is to get free, whatever free means for you, mentally and financially, because I don't trust higher ed. I can see the handwriting on the wall. Enrollment rates are going down, down, down. I'm at a small private, liberal arts university. It's not a secret as to what's happening. And I think that since we have these tools around us, we should be using them to get ourselves free.
Right. I love that. And there's one of the things that I pick up on is things that we say to each other that were perhaps so told to us by others. And I really try to unpack those and do some cognitive reconditioning, if you will, because y'all know that I'm a clinical psychologist. So but get in there with some of these things. So one of the things that you mentioned was that you were hearing from your peers and maybe even some folks who were your senior, that if you are out there doing that all the time, you're not in here doing what we do all the time. Right. And I have heard those types of things as well. Even someone who I hold in the highest regard and would follow them to the ends of the earth. When I was working on my promotion packet, I was telling them that, I was going to put my board service on there, because at that time I was faculty at a training for so I was faculty, but then I was faculty for a training for African Americans who were interested in doing board leadership, nonprofit and corporate. So I was faculty there. And I was a board chair of a charter school, and I was serving on 2 or 3 other boards. And the person was like, don't waste your time with that. Like, there's nothing about that that's going to get you promoted. And I thought, well, why not? Aren't we supposed to be engaged in the community? And they essentially told me the same thing that you said, which is like, if you out there, you can't be in here doing what you're supposed to do. And I was like, well, and I didn't, because this is the person that you're not going to tell, like you don't tell the president of the university, they don't know what they're talking about. But I think what happens is you have to know yourself and what brings you joy, what brings you fulfillment, what your purpose is. And I liked doing that kind of community engagement. And I was still carrying a full load. And I was serving on a number of committees. And I was chairing dissertations. And I had advisors. So I wasn't doing something that was distracting from institution. And in fact, my view was that this was elevating the profile of the institution and getting in spaces where the name of the, there'd be a disconnect, like that they would be like, why would I go to that university? It's XYZ. Oh, well, if Dr. Hill is there, then she's sort of an ambassador. Not that I was there to recruit anybody, but I was just there to make a connection. So I think when people say those things, sometimes they're well-meaning, but they may have a narrow view of what contributions an academician can bring to other places, and then vice versa. So I really like that you were like, okay, yeah, well, all right, well, I'm still going out here and do you. Now, the other thing that I applaud you on, and you and I have talked about this before, is you got to have more than one hustle, right? So you got your check coming from the university, but let's look at the landscape. There were some fissures and cracks before, but we just had a global pandemic. And so that was one factor or variable. Plus, people prior to that, maybe they were like, let me turn this gap year into 2 gap years and let me go out and be completely innovative. I don't need a degree to do XYZ. I'm already a critical thinker. So it's not what it used to be, right? To go to college, get a degree, and then this path. So as someone who is an employee, right, or your industry is the academy, you really need to be thinking about what your longevity is, right? What can you do? What is your university doing? What does enrollment look like? And what's your exit plan, right? You aren't going to be there forever for whatever reason. And so what is your exit plan, and where can you contribute outside of the academy, right? So your Power Your Research is all about that. Yep, you don't have to spend hundreds of dollars on publicists. Do some work, and your blueprint for the work is very clear. Your strategy is very clear, and it's very doable, right? You don't have to be 57 steps to to get out there. So tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, so the Power Your Research is the 9-step program. Academic Branding is the book that takes people through the program. And so Power Your Research is actually a program where people with PhDs can work directly with me and go through the program to get from where they are to where they want to be in terms of increasing their visibility, authority, and income. In the academic branding book, obviously there are a few steps missing because I had to translate an entire program into a book, and sometimes things don't translate over because I'm writing for everybody in the academic space that wants this. So you got to do it in a way that's universal. But people can follow this book and get the 6 figures for sure without ever talking to me. It's broken up into to really 3 sections. You can think about them as the 3 C's: clarity, connection, and capital. So the first part of the program is like getting clear, giving academics the permission to think about what they want their life to look like in the future outside of higher ed. So I'm not teaching people to leave their full-time faculty job. I am giving you a roadmap to have an option. By the end of my program, you will have the option to leave if that's what you want to do. And that does a couple of things. It takes the pressure off you because now you don't have to worry about if I get laid off, if they close my department. It also teaches you how to leave a legacy with your work, right? I think anybody with a PhD at some point probably had the intention to reach people with their work, with their research, and to help more people, not just other people in the academic space. So it's going to give you, mental freedom, actual financial freedom. So you're not reliant on the paycheck from any institution. And this roadmap, you're going to make more money than your university can ever pay you anyway, without having to go through the route of administration. Because a lot of faculty, what will happen is they get tenure and then they realize, or let's say even full professor, I'm a full professor, and then they realize, oh wow, there's no promotion after this. Like, this is literally what I'm going to be paid for the rest of my academic career. You can't go up from there.
Right.
That was unacceptable to me. And so they'll go administration to get more money, not because that is what they truly want in their heart. This wasn't like a childhood dream. It's just a pathway to get more money. I'm giving people a different pathway if they want to take it, and something that is going to be based on their vision, the life that they want to be living. And so that's kind of like the 3 sections of the program and kind of where the program takes you. I can go into more detail if you like, but hopefully that was kind of like a kind of overview.
Yeah, so that overview was great. And I really want to stress the point of the purpose of this is not to have you leave your job in higher ed. This is a supplement, right? And if you want to ultimately pivot, which is what I help people do as well, is think about your options, right? Because whatever industry you are in, you should always have options, because I tell people all the time, you never know. No job is guaranteed, period. Right. And your circumstances may require that you reimagine what you thought was going to be your career path or your life or your location or what have you. So having these options are important. And so I really think that, like you said, we're thinking about the 3 C's, right? And your program and the book. And we're going to put a link here so people can know how to access both of those. And by the way, for those of you who are already in my program, there's a link to her program in there, right? And so, and likewise, there's a link to my program and hers, right? Because that's just how we support each other. And so, talk to us a bit about, everybody can get the book, they can look it up, but I really want to take this time to spend a little more time delving deeper into why you think it is important to do this work yourself rather than hiring a publicist, right? Let's talk about that.
Yes, very good question. One, a publicist is going to be very expensive, and a lot of people think, let me hire a publicist before they do certain work that is really necessary before you go spend your money on a publicist. Publicists can help you. I had one for like 6 months that was very helpful. but 99% of my career has been doing it myself. And here's the thing that people need to understand. When you hire a publicist, they're not building the brand for you.
Okay.
Right? They're gonna get you media coverage. They might get you some visibility. What you want to do is build some visibility, build something before you come to them, so that when you if you do go to a publicist and hire one, you can say, hey, here are some media coverage spots that I've already gotten. Here's a little bit of an audience that I've already gotten. Here's the content that my audience likes from me. So then you can have a publicist build off of that, because they're not going to create your logo and build your audience and teach you how to build it. They're not going to do that, right? So if you do want to hire a publicist, quite honestly, you still need to do this work that I'm teaching you. Because if I were to hire a PR company or a publicist right now, they already have a foundation with, I don't have to tell them what my brand keywords are, and I don't have to do that work that they're not going to do anyway. They're really going to get you media coverage and visibility, and they're gonna cost a lot. Everywhere you've seen me, I've been because I've used the strategies in this book, including the Breakfast Club. Some of your audience may be familiar with the Breakfast Club, Charlamagne tha God. They have politicians on there all the time. I said, I want to be on the Breakfast Club, and I developed a strategy to be on the Breakfast Club. And this is a big deal. The Breakfast Club is huge. Now, I spent, I think it was like a year putting my plan in place to get on the Breakfast Club. Charlamagne finally sent me the email address and I talk about this in the book, to the producer. A lot of people think I got to get the host has to get me on. Really, it's the producer of the show. That's one key. So when he sent me the producer's email address, I actually did get a publicist but I already had the email address. You see the difference? Like, and so I was like, I had a publicist. I was like, hey, here's the email address. All you got to do is email these people. So, right. And instead, I highly doubt a publicist at that stage would have been able to get me on that show, because who better to pitch you than you?
Right. Tell your own story. Tell your own story. And so this is all great stuff. Now I'm just thinking about the faculty or the administrator who's like, I'm not really trying to be out there like that, right? Because we got some people who are like, Breakfast Club, no. TEDx, no, thank you. And I would like you to speak to those people who are like, that's not really my jam. I'm not trying to yuck your yum, but that's not what I want to do. And what I'll say, and I'm just going to tee it up for you to take it over, is that perhaps that's not where you want to be, but there are outlets where having your voice can be crucial, right? So maybe it's a local radio show, maybe it's a local newspaper, maybe it's a something. But I think they're going to get somebody to talk about something somewhere. So why not have it be you, right? So what are your thoughts about that? Because I hear people saying that all the time. And in fact, used to be one of them. Like, I remember that, the media people at one of my universities would be like, we'd love to have you, respond to Channel 3. I'm like, I don't have nothing to say to them people.
Yes, for sure. So for the people that are like, this doesn't sound like it's for me, then this isn't for you. So so come see me when you're starting to feel like maybe there's something else I should be doing. Because I'm not here to convince somebody to do something that they're not already being called to do.
Right.
Now, that's a different question than what a lot of people actually show up to calls with me and say, which is, yeah, I want to have an impact for my work, but I don't want to be out here on social media doing the most. I get that a lot. I want, right? I get academics a lot that say, I don't want to be famous. I just want to get paid a little bit more for speaking engagements. and I really want my work to help people, right? That's different than those other sets of people, because there's a place for the person that just likes to do research and have their research in higher ed,
Right.
and right.
Right.
So on that point, for the people, which is a lot of academics that come to me and say they have imposter syndrome, mindset things around even being, sometimes it's not that they actually don't want to be out here doing videos, and it's fear of trolls and people challenging them and them not having internal validation mechanisms, because as academics we're taught external validation is the prize,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the program starts with mindset. So if for someone that comes to me and has some of those things that we talked about, which is everybody, because I had them too, right?
Mm-hmm.
We start with mindset. And then from there, the program is intentional. If you say to me, I don't want to be out here doing videos every day, well, there's enough social media platforms out here where you don't have to be doing that the way
Right.
you see other people doing it. That is also different than you're just scared or have fear around showing your face,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why the clarity part of the program at the beginning is so important. Let's get to the bottom of this first,
Yeah,
and then we'll be intentional about what this is going to look like for you.
I really like that, because unpacking it is important, right? When we get down underneath it, because yeah, some people really are like, hey, give me my lab. Really, I'm good. It gives me anxiety to do anything. Like, no, we're not gonna have you do, immersion therapy to get you over your anxiety to get on. Like, it's not that serious, right?
Yeah.
But for those who, like you said, which are most of us, it's like, why would I go up there and talk about something? Because all my career, even when I was in grad school, if I go to present a scientific paper, or I go to present some research, all I get is torn down, right? Talking about all of these things and why are you even taking up air here? It can be very, very difficult, right? Not
Yes.
supportive. But one of the things that I have found is these other spaces aren't like that, right? They're calling you because they want to hear what you have to say. You really are an expert, and
Yeah.
they are going to defer to you time and time again. They're like, oh, you the doctor, you said it, so it's great. Right now, you may have, depending on the show or the platform, you may have an opposing opinion, but remember, that's their opinion. And so you can work through that. So I think that this is an amazing area that I'm hopeful more people will look into and reach out to you, get your book, try your program, or, starting with just following you on social media so they can be inspired by your journey.
Yes.
So I would like to have you give our audience, if there was just one tip you can leave them with, what would that be, Dr.
One
Howe?
tip to like build their brands.
Sure.
Um, Post on social media every day.
All right. Okay. Post on social media every day. And I know some of you just got real nervous about
Yep.
that.
That every academic listener hated that answer.
But I'm going to help you. She's going to help you. I'm going to help you to just think about what that can look like. That doesn't mean you got to write, a whole, but like Twitter, you got a few characters, well, X, a few characters, LinkedIn, you can repost somebody's content. There's a lot of ways where you can, comment on something someone else did. There's many different strategies, and I don't want you all to be scared of that. Neither does Dr. Howard. And so come on over here, you all, because we can help you. And so thank you so much, Dr. Howard.
Thank
And
you.
I continued, success for you, and know that we are all here rooting for you. And I just thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us today.
Thank you so much.
All right, everyone. Well, I am Dr. Loren M. Hill, your academic career advancement coach, and I want to thank you for joining us today. Don't forget to like us, share us, subscribe, all those great things. Follow us everywhere, and we will see you soon.